Sionigad, Dakwadoa, Dr. Cara Cowan Watts. Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Cara Cowan Watts. I graduated from Oklahoma State University, Stillwater, in 1997 with my first degree, a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Later, I got a master's degree in telecommunications management from OSU Tulsa, and then later on went for my PhD in biosystems engineering and completed that degree in 2015. I was born in Shawnee, Oklahoma, but I was raised in Seminole, Oklahoma, where I was raised by two Oklahoma teachers, public school teachers who are now retired. My mom was special education and learning disabilities, and my dad was a math professor at what is now Seminole State College. Mom knew how to manage my energy and my drive in a way that only a special ed learning disability teacher can do, because she understood my learning styles. And of course, math word problems were something we did as a family, whether it was lunch, donuts on Saturday morning at the local donut shop, or whether it was dinner with my parents. My dad was constantly challenging us on fundamentals of math and how to put them to work in the real world with real applications. So if you know me, you probably know what I lovingly refer to as my little brother. So we always challenged each other. We're a year and 9 months apart. Sibling rivalry was alive and well in a good way in our household. Mom will tell people that if I hadn't chose engineering or I hadn't chose debate in high school, that Brett Cowan probably wouldn't have went for those things, but he had to beat me at it. And I'm very proud of my little brother, who is 6'6". He's not little anymore. He can easily take me out, which wasn't true when we were growing up. And we're both products of OSU and the faculty at the College of Engineering, Architecture, and Technology. As a kid, what inspired me to be an engineer was the Bionic Man, Bionic Woman show. Those characters. For some reason, I knew I wanted to be a part of creating that next generation of solutions for human beings for whatever reason had lost a limb. My intention was to go from mechanical engineering on to biosystems, but that didn't happen, and that's a choice I made. But I knew that mechanical engineering at OSU would provide for that if I wanted to go that route. But what inspired me was the Bionic Man and Bionic Woman show and doing that. And I really wanted to create the next level of prosthetics and all those things. I started at University of Central Oklahoma, not because I wanted to delay my engineering or because I wasn't ready for Oklahoma State, but because I wasn't done with competitive debate. So I was a state champion debate, cross-examination debate person in high school, and I got recruited by UCO to come debate, and I thought I would give them a year or two competitive college debate before I transferred to OSU. So I knew what my plan was the entire time. But I came in a little bit behind because I didn't come in with my freshman class, so I didn't build those relationships. But that didn't matter for me because OSU had such a strong Native American Student Association and American Indian Science and Engineering Society college chapter. So we'll call that ACES is what we call it, ACES and NASA. So the Indian community on campus, both with the students, the staff, and the professors, that's what made OSU for both my brother and I. We had that strong family ties to people that were either blood related or not blood related at OSU because our Indian community was there to support us. And for me, being a nerdy Indian woman, ACES was super critical because that's really where I found my niche. So at the time when I was on OSU's campus, we had an entire classroom that was part of a bigger grant for Native Americans in biological science. There was a fish tank, there was a couch, there was all this place you could put all your books, and you sat together, we studied together, we helped each other with homework. There was a phone line before cell phones were kind of, we had computers. They taught me how to email for the first time in that OSU ACES lab. It was kind of central to our STEM buildings on campus. So you had a lot of first generation, maybe second generation, like my brother and I, college students that needed that additional community. And at the time, OSU offered it unknowingly in some ways through this NABS grant that had these offices that was an entire classroom. And what would happen is, what I remember, especially being an employer today, was there were all those great things I've already talked about. But when it came to our community, there are people today that have degrees because we knew we needed to help each other. And when single moms came through and their babysitter got sick or was a no-show and they still needed to get to class, none of us hesitated about watching kids while we did our work in that room. And remembering that kind of grace and support system, it was helping teach those things. You know, that's not necessarily taught at the engineering school, but the OSU ACES college chapter and the grace that those advisors gave came through in those experiences. And that's hard to talk about or express, I guess, in a way that's succinct. I wanted to pursue a PhD in biosystems engineering, not because I knew that I needed to go to biosystems engineering, but when I was on Cherokee Nation Tribal Council, I had a constituent and he challenged me that we had excess algae growth in the Uchi, Spavinaw area. And he literally picked me up and drove me to see the algal blooms and said, this is a problem. And I said, I couldn't agree with you more. Had some conversations, Dr. Dan Storm, then of course was the subject matter expert against Tyson in the City of Tulsa lawsuit that was won to protect those same water bodies. So my brother was already on campus for his PhD under Dr. Earl Mitchell. Brett's like, hey, I got extra time. Dan Storm, I'm gonna go by his office and I'll just get some information for you, because somebody had dropped out of the PhD program and there was a seat open, and Dr. Mitchell had said, hey, are you interested? And I'm like, well, the only thing I can think about doing is what David had drove me over, and let's talk about algal blooms and how do we fight this issue and really start establishing better science to protect Cherokee Nation's waters. So the next thing I know, Brett goes by, Dan's great, Dr. Storm's awesome, welcomes me in, gets his card, he sends me a photo of the card, and like next thing I know, I'm signed up for a PhD and I'm working on total phosphorus as a numerical nutrient criteria supporting Cherokee Nation's culturally significant waters or running waters, because in Cherokee Nation or Cherokee culture, running water is important for ceremony. We also have a lot of daily beneficial uses for water. Because I did this while I was on tribal council, my PhD. I can't thank the OSU staff and faculty that really helped support me through a longer than usual process to make that happen. Because that work then went into the technical advisory group, the first one that was convened after the lawsuit for EPA convenes the TAG or technical advisory group, and Chief Chad Smith appointed me as the representative for Cherokee Nation, and I was the only tribal representative on that tag. So my literature review helped support that to uphold total phosphorus as numerical nutrient criteria. I still use that work as I'm a lifetime member of Save the Illinois River and a lifetime member of Spring Creek Coalition, which are two of the water bodies identified in my dissertation. So obviously I was taking classes, pursuing my PhD during the time I spent on tribal council, and I was on tribal council for 12 years, and I want to say that I started the PhD work in 2005, so it's been about almost 10 years trying to complete my PhD. It was the long route, and I look back and it was worth it. So I appreciate the patience that OSU showed me that I was doing it while doing other public works. My husband is Doug Watts. He's a Wyandotte Nation citizen. He started the company that I run now in 1998. He is a serial entrepreneur. I mean, with the way he thinks. So we're gonna be married 18 years in November. We've survived a pandemic and a small farmhouse together. You know, if you didn't know you were married before, you definitely know you're married after the pandemic, right? And you're holed up together. He is a team roper, he's a header, plus he is a steer roper and started steer roping after age 40, if that tells you what I'm dealing with. In 2015, that was my last term because of term limits. That's when my husband, I said, well, now it's time for me to put my PhD to work, because I just finished it December of 2015. I said, I'm gonna go pursue an academic career. And I said, there's probably gonna be a commute involved, because it's not gonna RSU's probably not a fit. I'm gonna have to look for Arkansas or OSU or even abroad. I didn't know what that would look like. And he goes, well, why don't you just be my boss and you can take the company and take it over and be primary owner and managing member. And so that's what I did. I had started some work with Tulsa Pier Drilling while I was finishing up my dissertation, but he decided that based on that work, he wanted me to just come take it over, and I have. When Dr. Veenstra called me to let me know that I was being inducted into the OSU Seat Hall of Fame, I don't think it registered. It was pretty emotional. I mean, almost every week, almost daily actually, I'm quietly working on stuff for OSU and the College of Engineering and trying to help recruit students. And I'll tell the staff, look, I'm just the nosy, pushy volunteer. And I just never thought I would be recognized because I quietly work with a small group of people trying to further our mission as a land-grant university and getting that next generation of STEM. So I still don't even know if I can formulate what this really means to me, but it's very emotional. OSU is a big part of my family's life, a big part of my life, and I'm very thankful and honored for this award. Go Pokes!